Welcome back to SAFC Live. Sunderland have been defeated this evening down at the New York Stadium by 2-1. Danny, how do you sum up that one then?
Yeah, obviously disappointing performance and result. Sometimes you can get away with it when you're not at your best. Maybe we have done a couple of times this season, but that wasn't to be the case tonight. And I think credit to Rotherham, they were perhaps better than what I thought they were going to show in terms of the way they went about it and got the ball down, tried to play a bit in that first half. Pressed us really well, didn't allow us to play our game, and got themselves in front and probably deserved it, to be honest, at that stage. And then you're looking at a couple of chances we had. Dan Ballard's header, Alex Pritchard looking for that one in the top corner. So we did have a couple of opportunities, but there was no flow to us in that first half. Second best, I thought, in too many departments. And then obviously you're up against it going into that second half. But we'll have a look at the highlights and go through it, shall we?
Let's do it then. Let's have a look. Let's run the highlights and see where Sunderland went wrong this evening, because, the management and the coaching staff will want to pull this one apart, won't they?
Well, yeah, they'll look at it like they will do in most games. But just early on there, and that was within the first, I think it was about 8 minutes on the clock when this sort of phase of play happened, and you're thinking that's what we're all about. We've seen us this season, we're dropping balls in behind teams and playing through them, and it just went away, and we looked a bit nervy, we looked a bit panicky at times, and you see Alex Pritchard there, just hands waving, and there was too much of that in that first half. And I think maybe one or two players thought decisions went against them, where fouls and they weren't given, and just looked a little bit of frustration in there. And then you're onto the goal now, and look at that there, where he's picked the ball up. And I counted him out before tonight at half time. He had 6 touches there from when he, just have a look at it now. So there, receives it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and still no one within 2 yards of him. So that can't be happening. I'm sure that's, as you say there, will they look at it, dissect it? Of course they will. And he'll say there, somebody's got to go and put a challenge in, or get right and tight in his face and stop him getting the strike away on his weaker foot. But yeah, credit to him, he catches it quite well. I think it flashes through Danny Bart's legs maybe. And they're 1-0 up, and then straight away we reacted quite well actually for a minute or two. And I thought, right behind that, aren't we, with the camera, it looks like it's nestling in the top corner from Alex Pritchard, but good save from the keeper. Johansson gets the hand up there, tips it round the corner. But then you're thinking, right, can we go and kick on now? Can that give us a little bit of confidence? And I think from the resultant corner, it is a nice delivery in, and Dan Ballard loses his man, gets the other side of him there, and it's, he'll be disappointed with that tonight, getting back on the bus. He's big and he's strong, he's powerful in the air, isn't he, Dan? And we've seen it in recent weeks. He wants to go and win balls from set plays. Free there, 8 yards out, middle of the goal, and he'll be disappointed he's not put that away. And then Ahmad, and we're looking at Ahmad. He's been great, hasn't he, since he's got himself into the team. He had to bide his time earlier in the season, and we've seen what he's all about. Scoring some top goals and just his general plays. He's dragged us through at times in games, but tonight it just wasn't happening for him at times, and that almost summed it up in that shot he had there, where he did work it quite well onto his left foot, but blazed it over the top of the crossbar. And then one for Joe Gellart right on half time as well. Just think, I say I'm not a striker, I say this often, don't I? But I just think there, when it opens up, just use the instep and just try and feed it into that far corner. And into the second half now there, one for Rathbone. Not say tested Patterson really, it was easy for him down to his left hand side at his near post, wasn't he? Comfortable one. And then you're thinking, now can we kick on? Can we try and get ourselves back into the game? He didn't make any changes at half time, but we did. We had a little 5-minute spell here where we're getting numbers into the box, you see. And I thought there was a decent ball in from Jack Clark on that left hand side. Alex Pritchard gets across the near post, doesn't get any contact on the ball. But then you're seeing us now, look how deep they are. We're getting good numbers in there. This is the offside one, isn't it? I think it takes a nick off Luke O'Nien, actually, off of Luke O'Nien's back. You can see by the flight of the ball. Just see it back now. Yeah, you can see he's offside. He is. He's straight a yard offside. Good finish on the half volley, but unfortunately,
but a sign of things to come though, because he does score.
Yeah, he does. You see straight away there, he's disappointed. He's thinking, waiting for that first goal, isn't he? But straight away there, where we're on top, we haven't seen the build up there, where Dan unfortunately loses his foot in and then can't win the ball back, and it comes out to Shane Ferguson. There it is now. We'll see it on this one, and it's Fosu there, just nicks it off Dan Neil. Driving forward there, we're caught out because we're in a good position there, middle of the park, and you see Luke trying to get back because he's given us the option out on that right hand side. But unfortunately, Shane Ferguson picks the ball up, a couple of touches for him, and we can't get back to him. And it's a decent finish. He doesn't thrash at it. He just passes it across Anthony Patterson into the far corner. You see from this one, you know, it's easy sometimes thinking he's a distance out. He's got to put his foot through it, but he just passes it, doesn't he? It's going away from Anthony Patterson into that bottom corner. Jack Clark now, say we're 2-0 down, so we're having to try and get back into it somehow. Bodies forward and it comes out to Jack, but angles against him. You know, he gets it on target, bit of power behind it, but it's a comfortable one for Johansson. And here we are back into it now. Luke O'Nien, lovely ball on the overlap. Stands it in there, in between centre half and full back.
And then you see put it on his head, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, it's saying he can't miss from it unless he doesn't get good contact on it. He could do, but yeah, Luke, quick look up there, just bends it in there, and yeah, heads it down. And there's his first goal for the club. So now you're thinking, right, can we kick on? Can we get ourselves out of jail, really? Because we haven't really been great, if we're honest. We had a little spell, didn't we, just before they got their second goal. But now he's looking at making changes, I think. And then Gelhardt stands the ball up for Hume off the bench. See subs there, see Patrick's on there as well now. We've made a few. Trey with his first touch almost getting us back on level terms. This one, yeah, I think Adji, just his first touch. You see his reaction, hands on head, yeah, you know, as a player. And Patrick was into the thick of it, wasn't he? Little dink ball in there for Adji, better touch, and he can get the strike away. And then this is Washington off the bench, isn't it, where we're thinking, well, opportunity's gone away, we've slowed him down, but he gets the shot away. Unfortunately, it comes off that post, and it was getting stretched the game. Now they made a couple of changes as well. I think we've made 10 by now, haven't we? Both sides use the allocation up, and you're thinking, oh, is there going to be that opportunity for us? And we'll see in a minute. We did have one great opportunity for, I think it's Joe Gelhardt again, isn't it, in the middle? Which one's this now? It's Bennett, isn't it?
Bennett, yeah.
Yeah, pulling it back. You see who's finding themselves free there? Is it Dan Neil in the middle? Yeah, he's free there. If it gets pulled back, he's free. And this is the one I was on about.
Lovely ball.
That's the one you're looking for. Lovely ball from Patrick.
Shoulder. I think you were right in commentary.
Yeah,
Dan.
I think it's maybe brushes his head onto his shoulder. You see from this one, doesn't get the contact or the purchase on it, what he's after.
Yeah.
You know, either side of the keeper on the floor, I'm a back on it, 2-2. And then you think, you take a point, we've not been great, but you dig a point out. Unfortunately, it's not been the case. And late on, we've still got another opportunity. It's Gelhardt again, actually, isn't it? On the swivel from the corner. We'll have the other one as well. Adji puts the ball in the net, and it's this one.
Is that a foul on the goalkeeper?
Listen,
or has the goalkeeper come and not got there?
He's coming. He's never getting there, by the way. It's a collision between himself and Luke O'Nien. Just have a look at it back now. See, we've got three bodies through the middle. Ballard's in there. I think Adji Elise's in there. Luke's not offside. Defender's getting there. The keeper's never getting there, and it drops down. And we put it in the back of the net, and they say, listen, the whistle's gone, so they might have, you know, not reacted to it after that. Let's have a look. Well, he has that defender there, he's not getting there. But I think it's a generous one. I think the keeper's not getting there. Listen, I always say keepers are looked after, aren't they? Listen, Luke's clattered into him. Of course he has, but the keeper's coming there and he's not getting there. So it's a generous one. Could have been 2-2, but we've had 2 or 3 opportunities towards the end of the game. But we're scrambling, trying to get back into it. We weren't great, nowhere near our best. That first 45 is arguably our worst 45 for perhaps during the season for some time, certainly we can remember. So yeah, a point in the last 2. So from a return of 6, we've only taken a point. Have a look at the table. We've dropped down a few places, I believe. So a disappointing night. Yeah,
we'll have a look at the other fixtures now in and around the Championship this evening. As 4 of the games were happening. Blackburn 1, Blackpool 0, Millwall 1, Burnley 1, Norwich 3, Birmingham City 1, Swansea 1, Stoke City 3. Let's see what that does to the table, and we'll leave the table up for a moment while we assess the situation for Sunderland as they find themselves in 8th this evening.
Yeah, well, we were talking before the game, weren't we? Come down here tonight and pick up the 3 points and we'll be sat in 4th, but that's what happens when you're not at your best, you don't perform, and you come off second best in terms of the result, and the other results have gone against us there. Blackburn back to winning ways. They've had a bit of a wobble, dropped out of it. They've been in amongst it all season, haven't they? Millwall going strong. They'll take that, I think. Good point for them with the game in hand on a couple of teams, and Luton as well have got a game in hand. So from all of a sudden, from it being in a great position and not picking up a result, we're looking over our shoulders, aren't we? And we've dropped out of it.
We have dropped out of it indeed. Let's have a look at the first hashtag Ask Danny if we can. This one is from Dana, who says, do you think Ahmad plays better when Roberts is on? Good point, Dana.
Well, it's a good point, yeah, and we touched on it during comms, didn't we? I said that link-up play, when Patrick's playing out on that right-hand side in the three in behind Joe Gelhardt, then Ahmad's usually the middle one. Now, obviously, he's brought Alex Pritchard in tonight, moved Ahmad out to the right-hand side, and Patrick's dropped down to the bench. And, it wasn't there in that first half. Whether that's to do with, obviously asking the question, whether it's to do with Patrick being out there, but just in general, Ahmad's played games where Patrick's been on the bench. And he was well below par tonight. There's not too many times we've said it there. There's not too many times we've had to say Ahmad's been well below par.
Well, Ahmad's played well without Roberts on the pitch.
Of course, yeah, exactly. Of course he has, yeah. So might have had an influence in him not having that link-up play, which has been excellent in recent weeks. You see them, they play little give and goes. They're on the same wavelength, aren't they? And they work their way up that right-hand side into the opposition box. But it wasn't just Ahmad in that first half. You could go through the team. We're not going to sit here and do it, but too many had an off night. You can, say it sometimes, you can carry one or two players, get away with it almost, but you can't carry 5 or 6, and that was the case I felt tonight, where too many were a 4, 5 out of 10 as opposed to a 7, 8 out of 10. But I'm sure we'll see Patrick. You see Patrick had an impact on the game when he came on. He was bright, he got on the ball, didn't he? And I know these type of questions will come up, and it always does when you haven't had the result what you're looking for. It's a little bit of hindsight, obviously, where why hasn't he played in? Well, we've seen it last week down at Queen's Park Rangers. Tony Mowbray changed it. We got the result there. It hasn't worked out this evening.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to hear what Tony Mowbray has to say about tonight's game, because he always gives quite an honest opinion, doesn't he? Never gets too high, never gets too low. Yeah. And you can see that first, of course, on Sunderland's social media pages. Let's move on to the next hashtag, Ask Danny, then, if we can. This one is from Jay, and it says, do you think Robertson Hume should have been on from the start? So I guess it's another question about the team selection, Danny, and of course Mowbray and his coaches have a bit of a selection issue because the games are coming so thick and fast, and some people might say that might have been a contributing factor towards Sunderland's performance this evening.
It could well have been, yeah. Again, Tony Mowbray hasn't got a crystal ball in his office. He doesn't know how things are going to go. Just mentioned it there. And I knew we'd get some of these questions, and it's always the case when you've had a disappointing result and performance and the team's been tinkered with. That's going to be the case. Tony perhaps thought, I'm going to have to freshen up. Patrick's obviously played a lot of football. He came off the bench. He didn't look like he was leggy, did he? He was at it, like he buzzes around the pitch like Patrick does. And Trey as well. Trey's been fantastic since he got himself into the team.
He definitely would have been dropped because of that incident.
No, I don't think you can. No, over the course of 90 minutes, Mehmeti was decent at the weekend. I thought he went past him a couple of times, but Trey does a lot of work in the 90 minutes. You see there, he gets up the pitch, he supports, and maybe he was just a little bit leggy towards the end. And Adji as well on the other side of the pitch. It was quite an open game at the weekend. And Tony just looked at it. We said it before the game. You're going Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it may be, and you're churning out a lot of games, a lot of young lads in there. Trey, it's his first season at this level. He didn't really play a lot of football last season in League One, and all of a sudden now he's reeled off 10 or so games, hasn't he? So Tony thought, it's probably the right time for me just to bring him out. I can move Luke there. I'm not saying Luke didn't do anything untowards at right back. You look at the second goal where he's caught high up the pitch, but that's from, I've been there as a fullback when you've got what we say good possession in the middle of the park, which Dan Neil had. Luke's giving him that outlet there because Ahmad comes in narrow, then your fullback gets forward. Luke can't accommodate for Dan Neil slipping, and then all of a sudden he's running back 50 yards trying to make up the ground, and Shane Ferguson puts the ball away.
With a decent finish as well.
Yeah, and then obviously we brought the subs on there, and you did have an impact on the game. The game got stressed. They got a little bit tired. I know they made subs, but they put a lot in pressing us. And then we were having to go and chase the game, weren't we? So you're chucking bodies forward there. Almost paid off towards the end there, but I'm sure you've just said it there. Tony's going to get asked these questions by the press, and we'll see what he comes up with.
We will indeed. Let's have a look at another thought of one of our supporters around the world. Jeff's been in touch. Danny, mate, what's your thoughts on stadium names? The one tonight in Rotherham, New York Stadium, Bolton's stadium, Bolton's new sponsors stadium. The ACL Stadium, and I think it's called something like the Tough Sheet Stadium, isn't it?
Stadium, isn't it?
Bolton's Stadium.
Yeah.
I guess that's a sponsorship issue, isn't it?
Of course it is,
And the New York Stadium. Nick Barnes revealed the
didn't
real
he? Yeah.
reason, didn't he, recently? He said that it was because it was the site where the New York fire hydrants have been built on that site. But have you got an issue with stadium naming rights, as Jeff's been asking?
No, I know what Jeff's saying there. I mean, you know, you think of the Bolton's ground, the Macron or the Reebok Stadium, wasn't it? And obviously they're on about changing it again, and it all comes down to sponsorship and money getting put into the grounds, I guess. But we sit here often, don't we? And we'll mention a stadium, and then you'll say, oh, actually, it's called this these days. And but yeah, more often than not, fans like it to be named what it was when it was built, really, don't they? But grounds change, sponsorships, rights, and all that. Pull rank, I guess.
Yep. Well, we're still broadcasting from the Stadium of Light. And well, at least I think it is still.
That's what it's called.
Okay, do we have another hashtag? I think we do. This one comes in. It says, what do you think of Gelhardt watching in the Cayman Islands? Well,
yeah, good question. I thought this one might come up as well. I know it's obviously been discussed with him coming into the team. I think that's his fifth game tonight, isn't it? And finally got his goal.
Had one in the back of the net as well, which got disallowed.
Yeah, but you can see there what he's all about. And he could have had a hat-trick there tonight. Obviously, the one offside, the one that's come off his head, shoulder towards the end, wasn't it? And he's got his goal as well. And let's just see some of his highlights here. I think he puts a shift in. You can't deny that. Looks quite strong as well. He's not the biggest in terms of his height, but he puts himself about. He gets after centre-halves. And, like most players, just need to run in the team. And I said he hasn't played a lot of football. You know, he's come from Leeds, but he hasn't got 100 games plus under his belt, I don't think, has he, in his career yet? So a lot of pressure on him coming into the club. He will have come in here thinking he's maybe playing, say, second fiddle to Ross, being, coming off the bench maybe, getting some game time here and there. But all of a sudden, Joe comes in and we lose Ross. So he's the only striker we've got at the club. He's the main man at the top end of the pitch. And this is what he's going to need more of. These balls coming into the box. You see it here. Just his movement that unfortunately just can't get himself back. You see he comes back a yard, but not quite enough to get himself back on side. You see there, look at his movement there. But from Rotherham's point of view, good line. And unfortunately, just choked off. Good finish, on the half volley. Sometimes you can get them wrong and it can pop up off the ankle over the top. But you're thinking there, but credit to him. He kept on going. Link-up play at times was okay as well. He's maybe not used to playing with back to goal as much as what he is doing. If he's maybe a bit more of a number 10 where he receives the ball facing the goal, but he's being asked to play a game up against big seasoned centre-halves at this level. But I think he's battling on. He's doing a job. And see this one now, in between centre-half and full-back. That's a lovely ball in. Luke's ball makes the goal, let's be honest. It's a lovely ball in. And you'd say there, it's one of those, if he doesn't score from here, then, is he ever going to score, really, isn't he? Just got to get contact on it, head it down, and he's getting himself a goal in front of the Sunderland fans there at that end as well. But hopefully, that'll give him his confidence now to kick on from there between, what we got left, 17? No, we haven't got that many games. What we got left?
15 left after this one.
15 left, is it?
Let's have a look at the final hashtag, Ask Danny, then. This one is from Dan, who says, do you think we should have rested Ahmad tonight? If so, who steps in? Also surprised to see Hume benched. Hope it doesn't knock his confidence. Yeah, Dan thinks he's on fire. Look, from Manhattan. Thanks for tuning in, Dan.
Yeah, so a lot of questions similar, aren't they? Three of the questions have been asking about the squad, really. Should Ahmad have been rested now? Ahmad was rested last week, wasn't he? Was it down at Queen's Park Rangers?
Yep.
Came off the bench, had that opportunity went through one-on-one, just got away from him slightly.
Did look a bit flat in the first half.
Yeah, he
perhaps.
did. Yeah, it wasn't him tonight. Even 2 or 3 balls that come into him there, he was caught on his heels.
Yep.
Usually he sort of puts his arm out. He's not the biggest, but he pins the defender, just puts his foot on the ball, doesn't he, and buys himself time. But fullback nicked in front of him there a couple of times tonight. And just didn't look himself. That can happen sometimes. It happens to the top players when you're watching games.
But he did come alive in the second half a bit more. He came into his own a bit and looked more himself,
linked
didn't
up with Luke for the goal, wasn't he? Just spun on it there, played it into Luke's path, who put the ball in. And then he's asking about Trey Hume as well. I just mentioned him there, Trey. He's been excellent since he's got into the team.
Yeah.
I think Tony has weighed it up. His game time he's had. Saturday, just mentioned it there towards the end of the game. Did he look a little bit leggy? Maybe, but he puts a lot in getting up and down that right hand side. But it won't. I don't think that'll kill his confidence at all. No, looks quite a confident boy, grown into that right back role. I think he enjoys playing with Patrick and Ahmad when they link up the three of them down that right hand side.
Yeah.
and I'm sure he'll be back out there Saturday against Coventry.
Yeah, that is Sunderland's next game. We aren't carrying the game on Saturday because it's been selected for an early kickoff by British Broadcasting Sky over here in the UK, so we can't carry that one with the early kickoff. But we will be back on the 4th of March, I believe, and that'll be Sunderland's game against Alex Neil's Stoke City at the Stadium of Light. That's a 3 p.m. kickoff for that one, so we'll be on air from 2:30 pitch side. Thanks for being with us this evening. We'll see you soon.